أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما قال سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تقربوا الزنا إنه كان فاحشة وساء السبيلا صدق الله العظيم وصدق على رسوله النبي الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وأتباعه وأوليائك وعلمائك وشهدائك وبارك وسلم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. In Allah's name, the most merciful and compassionate. Allah Azza wa Jal has our deepest gratitude and devotion. We recognize His magnificence and turn to Him for guidance, sustenance, and forgiveness. We seek His protection from the evil of our actions, the evil within us, and the evil around us. When Allah guides someone, no power in the universe can lead them astray. When Allah misleads one, no one can bring them back to the path of guidance through guidance. I bear witness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only deity worthy of worship, and I recognize Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam as His devoted servant and messenger. An abundance of durood and salawat upon the best of creation, the crown of creation, the jewel of creation. Nabi Kareem, rahmatan lil alameen, our master, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, his noble family, his blessed companions, and the honorable wives. I greet ulama, elderly and youth, those present and those watching via social media with the peace and blessings of Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, on this blessed day of Jumu'ah, we as Muslims are celebrating a joyous occasion. Firstly, the night has just passed of forgiveness. And inshaAllah, I hope all of us made the best of that night as much as we can. And today we are now celebrating the Eid of Jumu'ah. However, the mushrikeen and sometimes even Muslims are celebrating and commemorating a different occasion on this day. Today is the day of Valentines. And the topic for today is referring to this. Why is the day of Valentines haram? Now, when it comes to a straightforward answer, we know it's haram because the day of Valentines, the essence of the day is in zina. However, to understand where the haram actually comes from, we have to go throughout history. To begin with, we go to the root of Valentine's Day. And this dates back 2 millennia. More than 2 millennia, in fact. It dates back to the ancient Romans. And these ancient Romans were pagans. And they used to celebrate on the 15th of February. They used to celebrate a holiday called Lupercalia. And on this day, they used to go out into the streets and they used to dance and they used to sing. And along with this, they had a tradition. And in this tradition, what they used to do is the men would take the names of the women and they would write it on pieces of paper. They would put these pieces of paper in a bucket. What they used to do was they used to pick out these pieces of paper and they would pair the men and the women. And then these men and the women, and they used to go and commit zina on this holiday. This is where this holiday of Valentine's is rooted from. But how did it become Valentine's? About 3 or 4 centuries later, 200 years after Isa alayhi salam. Around this time, there was a man named Saint Valentine. He was a saint. He was a father in a church. And at that time, the Romans had now been following the Christian religion. And the Romans had enlisted a rule. In this rule, the soldiers, the men in the army, they were not allowed to mingle with women. They were forced to be celibate. And so in this celibacy, the men used to get very anxious and they used to get frustrated. And so Saint Valentine disagreed with this law of the land. And so what Saint Valentine did was he followed that tradition of Lupercalia. So he invited these people, and in secrecy, he used to pair them in that same way by picking out the notes, and he used to pair men and women, and they used to go and commit zina. And this became a tradition in that time of Saint Valentine. And Saint Valentine, this man, what he was a filthy man. Though he was a preacher and a pastor, but he was a filthy man. In fact, his filth went to the extent that he committed zina. Though he swore an oath of celibacy, every priest in a Christian church has to take an oath of celibacy. He did not. He took his oath, but he broke the oath. And then he slept with a blind woman. And because of this, he was hung. He was hung and he was killed by the Christian church. And what he did was he had a child with this woman. And this child was named Cupid. This is where Cupid, the myth of Cupid, comes from. And so this whole tradition of Valentines was rooted from this person, Saint Valentine. And from this, we understand where this tradition comes from. And before he was about to be hung, he sent a letter to his beloved, his mistress. And at the end of the letter, he wrote, "From your Valentine." And this is where the tradition, where they write letters on Valentines, comes from. And so the essence we understand from Lupercalia, that Valentines is based in zina. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah Al-Isra, ayat 32, "And do not approach adultery, fornication. Do not even approach it. It is indeed a shameful deed and a very evil way." And we understand that the evilness in zina is so extreme that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not saying don't do it. For all the hukam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the prohibitions, Allah says do not do it. Do not miss your salah. Do not go into intoxication. Do not drink khamr. However, when it comes to zina, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not even approach zina. This shows us the extremity of this sin. And the reason that zina is so extreme is because it is paired with all the other sins. It has all the characteristics of evil. For example, the first characteristic it shows is lack of religious commitment. Meaning we don't have discipline to control ourselves. That's the first thing you see when you see a person who does zina. And then it shows a loss of piety, a loss of God consciousness. Committing zina, you cannot even remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you at all times. A person who is committing zina does not have the shame and the recognition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows of what he is doing. And then it shows a loss of chivalry and modesty and a loss of shame. On top of that, a greatest aspect of zina is that it darkens our soul. It darkens our face and our body. And not in terms of our skin tone, but in terms of enlightenment. Nur is removed from the person. You see some people and then you want to look away immediately. This is a person whose nur has been taken away. That is what zina does to a person. And then continuing, we understand that zina leads to poverty of iman. What this means is that the more you indulge into zina, the more it takes you away from the deen. It's a multiplying effect. It continuously takes you away from the deen the more you indulge in it. And then we understand that zina breaks our relationships. Zina can lead to us breaking our relationships, whether it's with our family, whether it's with our parents, whether it's with our siblings, whether it's with our friends. All of these can lead to ties of our kinship. Friends, brothers will be fighting over women, and vice versa. This will show that zina is a breaker of households. And then continuing, we understand that zina can lead to many other sins. If you do not have the shame and discipline to protect yourself from zina, then what makes you think you will have the shame to protect yourself from other sins? You will go and you will do sins in terms of earning haram. And to the point, to the extent that if you analyze, especially in the Indian subcontinent, you analyze that majority of the murders and the crimes that take place, they have some sort of connection to the act of zina. You truly analyze and look at the statistics, most of these crimes have something to do with zina, something to do with any form or aspect of zina. And so we understand that zina is like a drug. It is the worst of drugs, in fact. It's because when we indulge in it, we cannot get away. And we need it more and more and more. We understand that getting away without help is nearly impossible. And the reason this is because of the hadith of Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said, no adulterer is a believer at the moment when he is committing adultery. Now let that sink in for a second. In the time where you are committing zina, you are no longer a believer. During when you are committing this act, iman is taken away from you. You understand that when you fall into this act, you cannot even get away. You cannot leave the sin while you are doing it, because iman is taken away. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not even approach zina, because leaving it is nearly impossible. And then we know the call of Imam al-Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayhi, who says, a time will come when zina will happen constantly by a Muslim. Constantly. What does this mean? At this time, this day and age has arrived. We are in a time where the internet is available to everyone. And through this technology, we are able to commit zina at a constant pace. In fact, there are people who are committing zina at this very moment because of this. Their phone, their technology. We open our phones, go to any app, nearly every app, they use advertisements with zina, with women. Immediately, you have committed zina of the eyes. Imam al-Shafi'i used this hadith of Rasulullah as well to did naql of the following hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said, the two eyes commit adultery, the two hands commit adultery, the two legs commit adultery, and the genitals commit adultery. What does this mean? This means that our entire bodies have the ability to commit adultery. We can look at zina, we can touch zina, we can walk towards zina, we can hear zina. We understand that zina is not just of the genitals, it is not just of the literal form. We understand that looking at these things in itself is zina. We understand that this is not something that is just bound to the bedroom. It is spreading everywhere. And then we know this because of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam again, where Rasulullah said, by the one in whose hand is my soul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this nation will not perish until a man mounts a woman and they fornicate in the street. Allahu Akbar. The best among them will in that time will merely say, if only you had taken her around the corner. So from this we understand that we are in this time. Fornication is happening out on the streets, meaning in the public. Public fornication is happening today. This is being seen. There's so many incidents of reportings of in subway station and buses, public fornication occurring. We have approached this time now. And Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, the call of Sayyidina Salahuddin al-Ayyubi ar-Rahmatullah alayhi. He said, if you want to destroy any nation without war, make adultery and nudity common in the next generation. And this is exactly what is happening today. Exactly what is happening today. Our children and our youngsters are indulging in these acts of zina at a constant pace. These men and women are addicted to zina. It has reached the point where our children in schools are being spoken to about these topics without our knowledge. Youngsters in school are participating in these aspects of the Valentine's Day, not even knowing what they are doing is haram, not even knowing that it's wrong. And they are being raised in this manner that by the time they reach an age of maturity, they have no concept of what is halal and haram. So it is up to us, especially the parents here, to understand that you have to protect your children. You have to protect your children or the next generation will be destroyed, as Sayyidina Salahuddin al-Ayyubi said. And one great concept, actually it's foolish, that I hear today, is that the Valentine's Day is okay if you are married. It's okay to commemorate if you are married. This is incorrect. Valentine's Day is not for the Muslim who is married either. It is not for the Muslim who is married. The fitan of Valentines is with zina. They say Valentines is a day of love. No, it is not. The day of Valentines is a day of fitan. It is a day of zina. It is not a day of love. If we want to know what love is, we have to turn towards Islam. If you want to know in reality what muhabba is, if you want to know what it is, you have to look towards Islam. You have to look towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have to look towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You look towards Rasulullah, you see the love that he had for us, his people, his nation. Ya Rabbi habli ummati, Ya Rabbi habli ummati. Coming out of the womb, Sayyidah Amina radiallahu ta'ala anha saw Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam in sujood, praying for his ummah, praying for us. This is what true love is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us what true love is, where He created this whole universe for Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala. We want to know what love is, we look towards the family of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. We look towards Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Going for hijrah, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam was with Sayyidina Abu Bakr. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he was standing in the front. And then he would go to the left. And then he would go to the back. And then he would go to the right and then back to the front. And then he was going in this circuit continuously. And Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam asked, Ya Abu Bakr, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Sayyidina Abu Bakr explained that if you got attacked from the right to the left, the back and the front, I want to be there. I want my chest to be in front. I want to protect you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala. This shows us what true love is. Not the day of Valentines and not sending texts and flirting, etc. This is not what love is. Love is this. Where you're sacrificing yourself for the greater person. You want to know what love is, we look towards the marriage of Sayyidina Rasulullah and Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha reported that Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam never smiled the same way that he did when Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha was there. He smiled, but it was never the same smile with the same happiness that was there when Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha was seen by Rasulullah. This is what true love is. And we want to know what true love is, we look at the Sahaba. We look at the love between them. When Sayyidah Aisha was asked, who is the most beloved by Rasulullah? They would say that she was asked, who is the greatest woman and man? And she would say that Sayyidah Fatima and Sayyidina Ali are the greatest. And then when Sayyidah Fatima or Sayyidina Ali were asked, they would say that Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidah Aisha were the greatest. So from here we understand that this is the love between the Sahaba. We look at Sayyidina Ali, and then we have the certain regime that says Sayyidina Ali did not love the Sahaba. He did not love the Khulafai Rashidun that came before him. This is not true. We look at Sayyidina Ali, he named his children after the Khulafai Rashidun. Abu Bakr bin Ali, Umar bin Ali, Uthman bin Ali. This is where we see the love between the Sahaba. This is where we learn what love is. Not through these garbage days that were created by the mushrikeen. These days are not for us. As Muslims, we have to stay away from these days. And we have to understand that to find love, to find muhabba, we have to go towards the deen. Think of it as a triangle. Think of it as a triangle. You and your lover on one side, and at the top we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to get closer to each other, you have to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the deen of Islam. That is how you find true love. You go through the correct way of Sharia, through nikah. This is how you find love. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who puts love in a correct marriage. It is not through times, months of dating. This is not how you find love. You find love through following the Sharia and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. And for those who are younger, if you have, often asked is a question that what if you have urges? This is a very real concept where there are youngsters and even adults who are not married yet and they have urges and they have temptations. And how do we stay away from this? There are a few answers. The first of which is the obvious: get married. If you have the ability to, do not delay. Get married. And this concept we have is that we have to have such high standards for marriage. The concept of marriage is not to reach each other in success. It is to go through struggles together. That is the concept of marriage. And so we understand the second concept, protect yourself from temptations. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said that the boy or the man who does not have a beard yet, that to stay away from the temptations, to fast. To fast to protect ourselves from the temptation. And so we understand that the final concept to protect ourselves is to stay away from the fitan. Meaning stay away from your cell phone, stay away from these applications that give these urges, and stay away from places of temptation. Do not go to these gatherings where there is mixing in between the men and women. Do not go to these gatherings. Come to the masajid. Come to the people and the place of piety. This is how you will get rid of these temptations. Insha'Allah, anything I have said in error is from me, and anything that you have benefited from is from Allah Azza wa Jal. JazakAllah for listening. Wa akhir dawaya and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Insha'Allah, we'll have a couple of announcements to begin with. As you know, we are approaching Ramadan, and so we still have our Jummah donation programs going on. And insha'Allah, we'll have the poster up for our musalla. So just start saving up, insha'Allah, so you can contribute to the masjid. It is said that any person who contributes to a masjid, it is sadaqah jariyah for you. Sadaqatul jariyah, meaning after you pass away, you will continue to gain these good deeds to help you in the qabr. So insha'Allah, please make sure you donate to the masjid. We have our Jummah donation program going on. Our goal is 144,000, so insha'Allah we can get a bigger place. As you know, look, already the masjid is full. Downstairs we have a small musalla place for the rest of the brothers, and that fills up very fast as well. So insha'Allah, contribute to the masjid so we can expand and get a new masjid, insha'Allah. For continuous announcements, we have madrasa going on, which it will pause for Ramadan, but insha'Allah you can enroll your children after Ramadan as well, so just keep an eye out for that. We have the posters outside. It runs Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 7:30. You can contribute for that as well, donate to the masjid for that, as a lot of our money does go towards providing services for the children as well. We have books and we have a lot of programs that go on, so you can donate for that as well, insha'Allah. And we have our Saturday program going on. Yesterday we have the Shabi Barat Mehfil, insha'Allah. Every Saturday we have our salawat gatherings as well, so you can all join us for that. There is immense blessing, especially on this day of Friday and continuously through this month of Sha'ban. The month of Sha'ban is the month of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. The month of Rajab is the month of Allah. The month of Sha'ban is the month of Rasulullah. The month of Ramadan is the month of the Ummah. We understand that in this month of Sha'ban, it has been emphasized by the ulama that we have to push ourselves, do as much salawat as we can. Do as much salawat as we can. So insha'Allah, the best way for you to benefit from this is to come to the masajid, insha'Allah, tomorrow after Isha Salah, and come to the gathering of salawat and participate in the jama'ah, in the congregation of salawat as we do. And as you might have heard that we have the kafila that has went to Umrah as well. So right now they are in Madinatul Munawwara, and tomorrow they will be sending personal du'as for every single person who is offering salawat as well. That you just have to let us know, and we will let them send personal du'as for you, insha'Allah, at Madinatul Munawwara. Alhamdulillah. And we have our Sunday classes running as well. We have the Sunday classes for the sisters listening downstairs, or if any of you have brothers, have older sisters, 18 plus, that want to learn about fasting, the rules of fasting, especially for women. So they can come and join these classes and learn. And it is running every Sunday after Isha Salah, I believe, or Maghrib Salah. And you can come and volunteer. And well, you have to pay, but it's very minuscule, $25 a month. And the class is only running for a month. So you can join and learn about the rules of fasting. And we have our student of the Mecca Islamic Center, Ustad Farouj, who is teaching this class. So you all are invited to join for that as well. And insha'Allah, in Ramadan, we will have our programs running. Insha'Allah, we will have our donation programs running. We will have our Taraweeh running. And after Taraweeh, we're all invited to join, as we will have a live dars. We have Sheikh Muhammad here, and either we will do dars Quran and we will do a dars Hadith, insha'Allah, as well. You all are invited for